We have it.
No, just get it on tape.
All right. Here we
All
are.
right. So, I was able to find an example. So I guess what we're going to do is we're gonna kind of restart the whole design process, because I was able to find an example or a couple examples. So we want to restart so people can take what they did yesterday, and if that's good enough, that's fine. You can certainly add to it, embellish it, subtract from it, whatever you think you need to do. But we're gonna do the problem statement or the touch points. And this is an example from a foster care system that Live Well Cincinnati, who developed this process, worked with to help them improve in a certain aspect of their service to foster care youth. And so you can see the problem statement was preventative and chronic healthcare needs are not a priority for youth who have aged out of the foster care system until it becomes a crisis. In the class that I took where I learned this process, they explained that a lot of times youth who age out of foster care don't think about health care, aren't connected to health care, don't have health care. And the only time that they think about it is when, things have reached a point, as it says here, a crisis situation. So then they talked about what the clinic does, and that would be essentially your touch point. The clinic help educate and bring awareness to the importance of healthcare, the lives of youth in foster care, et cetera. So they're just describing the clinic story, so to speak. And then you see in the upper right-hand corner, the deliverable is improving healthcare utilization and health status of youth aging out of foster care. So it's a really clear statement about what's our end deliverable. And at the bottom, you see the milestones that they've pulled out of the problem statement and the touch point, or i.e. the story. Understand emancipated youth healthcare experiences, ideate or generate a whole bunch of ideas, actionable opportunities, and then create sustainable and implementable solutions. So that's an example of the touch point, the problem statement, end deliverable, and milestones. That was the worksheet that we did yesterday. And here's an example of the activators, inhibitors, skill sets, and superpowers. So you see the activators, you see the type of things that are under there, things that are going to help support reaching the deliverable, things, the inhibitors, things are going to get in the way, skills that we bring to the milestones, to the overall project, and then the superpower. And you look at the superpowers, you can see some ideas of how abstract or creative you're allowed to be, encouraged to be. Really, this process really plays well into abstract and highly creative thinking. So mind reading as a superpower. So the idea is not to restrict what your brain comes up with because you think it might be silly or it's just ridiculous. The idea is to just put whatever comes to mind, because when you do that, you open up space to keep coming up with more stuff instead of trying to censor, judge what your thinking is before you put it down. And that's one of the beautiful things about the design process. Every idea matters. Quantity of ideas is more important than quality of ideas when you're designing, because any idea can possibly be turned a few degrees and become a great idea. And then we talked about this yesterday, that most really interesting or good ideas sound illogical or unreasonable at first. So all those things are allowed. So it's important to think creatively about the activators, inhibitors, skills, and superpowers. Generate as many as you can. It's really important to generate as many as you can. That's why you have to get some abstract and seemingly ridiculous stuff out there. You want a good, strong list so that when you do your actual roadmap, you have enough of those inhibitors, activators, skill sets, and superpowers to populate your roadmap to get you to the deliverable. Okay, so with that, we'll go back to where we were yesterday. Does anybody have any questions about this now? I mean, I think yesterday we were going to try to get in 2 or 3 of these, and I think we kind of rushed too much. So let's take our time and try to do this well. Any questions about this part of the exercise?
Can you leave the last screen up while we're working? Is there a way to do that?
This one?
Or is it going to go away if we break out?
It's going to go away if you break out, but you guys, Calvin, if you can send me that file, let me see. You could, because you all have screen sharing ability in the chat.
Okay.
Can you send that to me? I'll post it in this chat, and then you can all upload it in your own chats.
Wait a minute.
So right now, in terms of breakouts, Claremont has 3, Coshocton has 2, and then there's 7 of you that are alone. Is that too many for a breakout? Do you want to be split in half, or do you want to stay together, those of you that are working solo in a group of 7? That would be with Alicia Wolf from the Supreme Court as well.
I'm solo. This is Pauletta, and I would prefer to stay with the group because my intent here is to learn as much as I can because I'm not coming from a drug court.
All right. Well, so when you're in that group, if you want to get out, you can got it set up so that you can come back to the main room and make a change. Okay.
Okay, Steve, that slide is on its way to you.
All righty.
Let's see here. I'm just going to send you both just in case. All right, I guess I screwed that up. Okay. Share computer sound, share, beginning. Okay.
All right. I haven't gotten it yet. As soon as I do, I'll.
Okay. So
There it
who's
is. Okay.
okay? So who's comfortable with what they came up with yesterday, based on the example now that I've given you? How many people are okay with their touch point guide as is? And a gauge to see how much time we need to spend on this. So Steve, you're getting us set up in the breakout rooms.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll pop in like I did yesterday to various rooms to help out if I can.
All right. I'm going to be posting these now.
I'll leave it up while people are thinking.
All right, so those are in the chat if you guys want to download them, and then you can you all have screen sharing enabled, so you should be able to pull them into your breakouts. Harold's with us now. You want to say good morning, Harold?
Morning, everyone.
Morning, Harold.
Sorry for the delay.
It's okay. Just glad to have you, man.
All right, so should we start with 20 minutes or so and then
Yeah,
come back in?
let's look at what we can do with 20 minutes. Again, I think people put in some work on this yesterday, so yeah, let's look at 20 minutes. And then you have the example slide up for everyone.
They have it in the chat, so they have to do screen
Oh,
sharing
okay.
themselves.
Okay, so they all can access it. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so we're all set. Let's go to work.
All right, here we go.
We'll reconvene at 9:35. This is exciting. Get excited, folks. Okay, welcome back, everyone. So let's hear from folks. How did the Touchpoint Guide go? What were you able to do today that maybe you did differently yesterday?
Could I start? But I'm gonna tell my kids to be quiet for a second. Hold on.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, we can help with that. You know, we can all. Shut up.
Okay, so I can start. Our group from yesterday, I feel like we were all just coming from different aspects, and it was kind of hard to kind of put it all together. So I kind of took some from each today, and seeing the example helped me a lot, I think. Hold on. Sorry, she's 16 months old, and I'm watching my cousin, and she's not her nephew. She's not used to sharing her toys.
Uh-oh.
For the first one, for the problem statement, I put biological fathers are not a priority for youth involved with the foster care system.
Ooh.
As the problem statement, we kind of tried to sum, everything we were talking about, and I feel like the strong word, priority, because we need to make them a priority.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
We need to bring awareness to how important it is to have the father in the child's life. And I think that one right there helped me with the statistics that you showed us on Friday. Our first milestone would be to understand how the father's position is in the child's life. And going off of what Pauletta said yesterday, kind of making the family history map, we need to understand first.
Mm-hmm.
The second milestone is to express how they have the same equal opportunities as the mothers. We talked about that. A lot of dads just kind of like don't think that they're on that same level or that they have the same rights. The third one for our third milestone is to implement ways to engage fathers moving forward. I think that's the exciting piece. We need to learn and try new things because obviously something isn't working.
Mm-hmm.
I moved and they came with me.
Of course.
Good work, Kayla.
Kayla, will you read the third milestone again?
To implement ways to engage fathers moving forward.
Thank you.
We did write activators. If you want me to go through some of those.
Well, we'll just hear about everybody's touch point guide for now, and then we'll get back to those activators.
Okay.
Kayla, did you have an end deliverable?
Yes, I did. The goal of this project is to create a system to improve fathers as a priority for youth involved in the foster care system.
Man, I really like
Great.
that.
Yeah.
Really like that. Great work.
The word priority is excellent. Yeah.
Mhm.
Kayla, before you have to mute again, how will this work for you taking this back to your team as a solo person now that you're going to be the champion?
I guess I'm going to have to definitely advocate it because I could tie it into, my one case where the dad's been in phase 2 for 500 and some days. Could we have done a lot better engaging a year ago?
Mm.
We probably could have. And maybe moving forward, this is something we really need to take in consideration. Now my dogs are barking, sorry.
That's all right.
It's That's great work under duress, boy, I'm telling you.
Yeah, I moved for 1 second and my pop just fell over the carpet. So give me a second. I'll be back.
All right. So why don't we, anybody else wants to share their touch point guide?
Okay, I think Leandra's sick of talking, so I will share ours. So our current challenge is getting dads more involved and represented in family treatment court here in Coshocton. So our first milestone, we want to work with the Fatherhood Initiative and have them as a constant in our treatment team and in the court, so we can talk through them to the other agencies, use them as like a middleman to reach out. And then our second milestone would be provide programming, targeting fathers' needs and that are inclusive of the mothers as well, in each phase of treatment court. So the programs that coincide with the timeline of each phase for the dads. And then number 3, oh my gosh, this is so lazy. Create sustainable and implementable solutions. We just kept what was on. I mean, we feel that, you know, that's a great third milestone. That
Yeah.
And then the end deliverable is increased participation in our treatment court of dads in our treatment court. So I think just understanding dads better. They're not represented well. We do have a good number right now for being a small community, but they're, 5 out of 18, but they're just not, we want more sober dads in families.
Wow.
Reaching out is the issue, I believe.
And your third milestone, sustainability with any program is problematic if you don't have the right people in the right places. So,
right.
I really like what you put down officially on for your milestones and your indeliverable, but your statement, we want more sober dads and families, really struck me.
I mean, just reaching out to them seems to be an issue, for every agency, just for them being unwilling and to build that rapport with dads. It seems as though, you know, we're working with mothers a lot more than dads right now. And we know it's not just mothers that have problems.
Right. Excellent. Great job. Anybody else want to share their touch point guide?
This is Angie with Claremont. I don't think ours changed all that much from yesterday, but we did kind of hone in on a couple things. And whoever is sitting next to Leandra, I'm sorry, I don't know your name, but we had some similar ideas expressed. And one of the focuses is our system here definitely focuses on the more involved parent, which is often defaults to the mother. And one of Diane put it really well. She said it's kind of the other parents out of sight, out of mind. If we can get one parent through our system taking care of everything, then we really don't have to worry about the other parent. And that's kind of the default mindset. So I think we all have become more aware of that, and we can continue to try to put forth actions that will change that default.
Okay, great. You said, and you showed me the difference between the pencil and the pen on your paper. It seems like you had a lot more pen. Right?
Probably so, but I think we were ahead of ourselves on the other assignment for the lot of the pen.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Anyone else?
I want to just comment on what Angie was saying about assuming, you know, that the involved parent is enough. I mean, I've always felt like, since we've been working on this fatherhood work for 25 years now, that this typical social welfare system defines family as a mother and her kids, and just assumes, okay, that mother's going to inform everybody and bring them all along. And you know what you're talking about now is shifting that definition of family through the child's heart and eyes. You know, we define family through the child and let them tell us who the important people are. You know, it's a big shift. And go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, I think to add to that would be the fact that often we're dealing with never married couples. And with the
Mhm.
state law being as it
Yep.
is, it's the path of least resistance to focus on the mother
Mhm.
rather than going through, and not that it's difficult, but going through the process of acknowledging and activating the paternal rights in a case. It just seems it's the path of least resistance to a situation that's already very difficult.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that legal barrier is just
Right.
is huge. Yeah,
Right.
it's just huge. The folks up here in Cuyahoga have decided to just kind of ignore that, and it'd be interesting to see how it goes. And they just say, "Hey, if we know you're the father, we're going to engage you, and we're not going to worry about the legal stuff right now, and work on it later." It's risky, but it's the right thing. So it'd be interesting to track.
Mhm. Good. Okay. Thank you. Anyone else?
Can I
Okay.
add, one
Yep.
last thing? Sorry, I kind of went off in a little rant when we were talking in our group, because I like last night after the training looked at our 211 brochure and didn't see anything for the dads. So I was just very angry yesterday.
Yeah, you should know, and not to put anybody on the spot, but I've called United Way 211s in different areas and tested out resources for fathers, and it's just not good at all. And I really feel for a man in the community who's distressed and who knows about 211 and makes that call. From what I heard, that's a tough one.
Yeah. Yeah. I
You-
appreciate your anger, Kayla. When I first came to Cleveland in 2001, I did the same thing. I was trying to launch this work. And so I reached out to them, and it took me 3 or 4 years to get up to the leadership for them to say, well, parent isn't enough, because that's always what they'll say. Oh, we have things for parents, Dads don't see themselves as parents. That word doesn't speak to them.
Mhm.
So it takes a while, but rattle some change. It's important. And the 211, I don't know which 211 you're connected to, Kayla. You should be, if you're connected to the one in Cuyahoga County, they have the ability to do that. They just probably need to be nudged.
Okay, I'll check in with it. I know the person that makes like the 211 brochure. I have really good rapport with her. I'll be like, hey, just picking her brain on it.
Is the Fatherhood Project listed in Hamilton County?
No.
Wow.
Calvin, I thought that changed. Now I'll have to go do my research. When was the last time you checked in on that?
You might be right, Harold. That was probably at least a year, if not a year and a half ago.
Well, it's worth checking in on, because I thought it was now listed, but I need to check in on that. So
You know what? Yeah, and you know what, Harold? It was probably in my early time with the county, so it might have been early to mid 2018. Now that I think about it, so I may be speaking out of school. All right.
Anyone else
so,
that's working on their own? I want to share anything?
We were with Kayla, and I think she did an outstanding job.
Okay. All right. Let's do this. That. Slideshow. Okay, so looks like we're off to a really solid start, which will really support a strong ending. Now this won't work. Okay. Stop sharing. Slip 3. Presenter. Sorry guys, getting my technical glitch together here. Okay, so now we'll move on to our skills and superpowers. And I did hear some of you have already done this, but I just want to carve out time to focus on this. So with skills and superpowers, you're considering anything and everything, both hard skills, soft skills, and everything in between. So things like optimism can be listed as a skill, as well as things like good with Excel. Anything that is an asset that can be used for the good towards the end deliverable. And for the superpowers, this is where you get to dream big. You saw on the example, was it mind reading was an example. So you really want to dream big or amplify greatly some superpower that's already on your team or in your community. And don't think outside of the box. Step on the box, walk away from the box, head to a new horizon as you think about skills and superpowers. So since some people have started on this, let's say 15 minutes for people to really get good, strong lists for your skills and superpowers. So that puts us back at 10:06.
All right, here we go. Kayla's the winner.
She's back.
I know my daughter's still running around screaming.
Yeah, how do you do that in the breakout rooms, Kayla? Manage the kids and the dogs and.
Well, I wasn't going to say it, but on Friday, I was actually on here on my tablet, computer work thing, watching the training, and then I was on my cell phone doing drug court treatment team. And
Oh my gosh.
And I had my daughter. So I don't know how I do it either some days, but you just do it.
That's amazing. Okay, welcome back, everyone. So let's talk about the skills and the superpowers. And I don't know, maybe people can share their whole list, or maybe some things that that they're really kind of pleased or interested that they came up with. So you maybe can spark somebody else's thinking. So however you want to share that out, that's fine. Either all of it or parts of it. Because every time we share, somebody else gets supported in their thinking.
Does everybody want me to go for our group? I can go.
Kayla can do it.
Okay, so for skills, we put down communication, listening, trust, adaptability, empathy, patience, and problem solving.
Very interesting list.
For the superpowers, this is where we kind of got kind of funny, but big brother, so kind of like to hold their hand and coach them through, every single process. I wish we had the time to, do that. Someone said a live-in case manager for the dad. I thought that was pretty cool.
That's great.
A crystal ball to know the future. That would be amazing. I actually said mind control, not like in a bad way, but to kind of help them break some of the things that's just so ingrained, and it's hard for us to even get through those layers. That's it.
That's good. And we laugh at this, but I've seen this work, like these really kind of wild things. Sometimes you pull out of them something that can actually happen, some element or part of that, or some iteration of that. So we'll see how it works out at the end of this exercise, but that's really good work. Thank you. Anyone else?
We can go. You go. Okay. So for our skills, we said we're great hosts. We're organized, personable, approachable, honest, objective, supportive, innovative, flexible, and resilient. Our superpowers, we want a universal release of information, access to other agencies' data systems, the ability to never forget a person's story, instant recall of those stories. We want excellent power of persuasion. We want the ability to show people how things could be. We've termed it the Christmas Carol effect. We want endless funding. We want to consistently engage the community, make sure every dad remains safe and sober and functioning, always be optimistic. We want sustainable good jobs for dads, and we want every dad to always instantly be willing to complete.
All right. So, I know teachers aren't supposed to, favor students. But,
The Christmas
proud of
Carol
that
effect
list.
is awesome. I love
really
that.
great work. Thank you. I'm inspired.
So I can go from Claremont.
Okay.
Okay, so some of these we've already had, but our skills, the presence of good treatment experts, CPS experts, legal experts, we have the right minds. We're detail oriented. We understand our available resources. We have great contacts in our community and great community partners. We're good about sharing information. We don't give up on our dads easily. We're flexible in addressing their needs and individualizing services. We meet people where they are. We are good at brainstorming and providing creative solutions and coordinating services. And we're really good at collecting data, creating pretty documents, and providing creative incentives for the dads in our program. For our super powers, we would have, some of these are really small and some of these are huge. We would have better relationships with some of our partners. We would have an apartment building to provide housing. Right now, we would have the ability to have in-person hearings and to have better drug screening options during the pandemic. We would give every single person a car with no strings attached, no liability attached to us on that. We would actually have our own building for all Family Recovery Court personnel. So our treatment, our children's services, child welfare, we would have a visitation center in that building. We would have sober living options in that building. The visitation center would be a better space than we currently have for visitation. And then finally, we would also have the crystal ball.
Oh, wow. That's impressive. Claremont.
That's right.
Beautiful, beautiful. Anybody else? You all got to be inspired. Everybody's got to be inspired by now. Anybody else want to share their list?
I think someone from each breakout has gone, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm so fired up. I'm like, let's hear some more. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay, now we're on to activators and inhibitors. So activators obviously are the positive things that can help or influence you to achieve that goal. Inhibitors are negative obstacles that you come across to try to complete your objectives. So again, let's take about 15 minutes. I know some people had touched on this as they rolled along, but let's do a quick 15. So that'll put us back at 22, 27, 27 after 10. See you guys then.
Dame. No,
Huh.
sorry.
Okay, welcome back again. All right, inhibitors and activators. Let's see what we got. Let's go around the horn.
Well, I guess I'll start again.
I was going to ask you to.
So kind of ran out of room, so I'm gonna read and then probably get confused. But
Okay.
for activators, we talked about caseworkers, children, treatment team, providers, family, faith community, visitation centers, assessment centers, and also local support for social activities like the Y or something, maybe specifically creating something for just the fathers. I don't think in our county we have anything like that, and I think that that would be a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe just specific groups for dads. For the inhibitors, we put time, lack of contact information for the dads, gatekeeping by the mother or other family members, lack of resources such as transportation, housing, employment, trauma, lack of motivation, biases, lack of internal support. That was kind of like more of our side, you know,
Mhm.
lack of moving it up the ladder type of deal. And laws, we kind of explained, I talked about here in Ashtabula County, like we only do the paternity testing once a month. So if somebody comes in
Wow.
after, they have to wait until the next month to do the paternity testing. So I gave an example. Well, this dad just reached out to me and he can't get paternity testing until August. And especially because this COVID stuff, it's kind of thrown him back. So that just frustrates me because it's like, what, he just doesn't get to see his kid, if that is, you know, if that is his kid, but still, I get the laws, I guess, it's kind of frustrating too.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much it.
That's very good work. Thank you, Kayla and the group. How about Claremont?
Nope, it's going to be
This is
Lisa.
Angie. Can I go in a minute? I've got a call I got to deal with real quick.
Sure.
Thank you.
Kashaktan, are you ready?
Leandra or Kelsey?
Okay. Do you want to do it?
So for our activators, for who we said judge, and then the coordinator of Fatherhood Initiative, William, and then the dads and their extended family and children. We think they're all positive people.
Mm-hmm.
And for what? We have sustainable economic flourishment, relatable programming, reliable people, and engagement. For when, we have the beginning, so like for willingness and sobriety of dads, and then the middle, compliance and commitment and optimism. And then at the end, so sustainable sobriety and active parenting. So for where, we have in the community, we want understanding and empathy from the community, CPS, willingness and support from them. And in the homes, we want sober, active dads and in their own homes. How, we have celebrating small victories, leading by example, and re-engaging successful fathers. So for example, alumni events for dads and their children.
Right.
And why? So to spread happiness, for continued support and empowering fatherhood, period.
Mm-hmm.
For our inhibitors, so who inhibits us? Society, CPS, gatekeepers and enablers of fathers, and non-willing participants. What enables us? Referrals, timing and knowledge. When, oh yeah, the lack of time, lack of knowledge, lack of referrals.
Mm-hmm.
So then when, beginning, so we're not identifying fathers early enough, and then for dads themselves, sometimes withdrawal from substance abuse inhibits them. Middle, so isolation, dads getting in their own heads and new mental health issues with sobriety, such as like anxiety and handling that and feeling defeated. And then at the end, old people, places, and things are all inhibitors for fathers.
Mm-hmm.
Where, so data collection, not getting enough information, communication or the case plan, and inconsistencies between dads and the agencies. how dads are evasive. Sometimes our own perceptions inhibit us. Parents can be deceitful, and they become their biggest barriers. Why? Fear of the system and closure, for example, going back to their old normal, disassociation from normal, and self-preservation. They're used to their ways because it's comfortable.
Mm-hmm. Very thorough. Good job, guys. Good job. Angie, are you available?
I am. Sorry about that.
No problem.
For our activators, we feel lucky that we have a lot of people, we have a lot of activators in our community. One of the things that we realized we haven't mentioned at all is we have a great recovery coach presence. We're trying to kind of build some more systems, bridges between child welfare and the recovery coaches that we have. We have about, I think, 10 or 12 on staff throughout the county,
Wow.
especially with males. That's something we want to get more involved with, is our male recovery coaches. We have an influential judge. We have the media really loves our court. They love working with us. They love highlighting our story. So we've got that on our side. I should knock on something because media doesn't always love us. We know that. But we have landlords that are willing to work with us, and we have a great team of people who are trying to help the people that we're working with. We have great access to treatment or medication-assisted treatment. We have flexibility. We have multiple treatment providers. We have great use of incentives, ability to provide services in many ways now, which has largely been enhanced by the pandemic. Multiple points of contact. We have great contacts between our agencies with information provided by treatment reports. We have all of the hearings that go into all of these cases. The initial contact our Family Recovery Court has with dads. We have contact at visitation. Like I said, we're trying to get the recovery coaches even more involved with earlier on in child welfare cases. Once they're in our program, we have daily contact. We have the ability to have enhanced contact even at the point of relapse. We have hearings with the judge, and we also have great contact with our alumni. So after they leave the program, where? Virtually anywhere, on the internet, at court, treatment, job sites, home visits, car rides. How? We get guidance from the Supreme Court and training such as this. We learn from other courts. We learn from our own mistakes. We're just really ever changing in what we do. There's a legal basis for our program, and there's a lot of paperwork for our program that guides us. Why? To help people get healthy and be successful, to get children home, to help parents reach their goals, because kids always deserve the healthiest version of the parent possible, and the entire family unit is important and necessary for child development. For inhibitors, we don't have as many inhibitors, so I'll go through the ones that we have. Anyone who uses the default parent, inability to establish contact with fathers, lack of referrals. I know somebody mentioned that. One of the biggest inhibitors are some of the timelines that we're working against, and especially when those don't always line up between systems. If fathers don't come to hearings, it's harder for me to make contact with them. Somebody else mentioned if there's a relapse and they're struggling to get out of that, that can present a problem, an inhibitor. Lack of housing, lack of transportation. And I think some of the housing stuff is even harder for fathers for us than mothers. And finally, the fear of systems, which I know Calvin mentioned, I think on day one, and that the system only wants me because they want child support. So that thinking error.
Excellent. Excellent work, all of you. Thank you. Let's take it on home and create our journeys. Let's see here. So now what we'll do is create our journey. So let me get my notes here. So what you're going to do is on the map, and I know some of y'all probably printed it on standard paper. Some may have printed it on 11 by 17, but I recommend if you did print it on regular paper, at some point print it on something larger that you can get everything on here, because it'll help you when you go back to your team, to your community, for people to see the visual. So you're going to write in your current challenge first. Then you're going to write in your end deliverable. Then you're going to fill in your milestones. Okay. Then once you do those things from your list of skills, superpowers, activators, and inhibitors, you're going to plot in those from the list for each stage of the journey. For example, like towards milestone 1, what skills would I want to use? Do I think I need to use? What inhibitors will exist specifically related to milestone 1? What superpowers do I want to? So you just pull from your list to populate each of the legs on the journey for milestone 1, 2, and 3. And on that last leg, you're just looking at anything that you might need to get you over the hump towards that end deliverable. Does everybody understand? Okay.
Yeah.
So plot it on in. Let's get your journey laid out and let's see what we got. We'll see what it all looks like. Let's do, see, it's 10:38. Let's do 20 minutes here. So we'll come back at 10:48.
10:58, Cal, 20 minutes.
That's what I said.
Okay.
No.
Can you email that, or, 'cause I don't know if I have that.
Email what? Oh, this form?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll send, I think yesterday I sent this whole thing in an email, but I'll
Oh.
check to,
Yeah, I think you did, Steve.
yeah. But if not, I'll send it again. Okay, I'm gonna open you up.
Okay.
Might not have it, Cal. Did you, as I remember when we first, just check. Oh, yeah, it's there. Yeah. It's page 5.
Not sharing my screen. Okay, they're good. People are just working along, man. It's like,
They sure are.
I feel like I'm interrupting more than helping. Welcome back, everyone. Okay, so what we'll do is, you know, I think I'm more interested in how people organize their journey maps. I mean, you don't have to go through every block and every step, but just talk about the experience of doing it. This in general, was it good? Is it beneficial? How do you see how do you see yourself using this going forward? Just talk about your experience with the journey map.
I can talk for our group again. I feel like that was really good. It helped break down all of the points that we previously made and how we would actually put them what milestone it needed to be kind of fitting better in, and how it kind of flowed, I guess. I think it all just put everything into a bigger picture that you can actually follow, if that made sense.
Yep. Beautiful. Beautiful.
I would agree with Kayla. The way we attacked this was we said for each milestone, which pieces did we feel would get us there? What did we need to get there? And so when we were done, I made the comment to Kelsey, I wished I had something like this process for another project we worked on. I think it would have been so much more helpful. This laid everything out in a way that you truly understood each step, and it was easy for you to see how you could bring it to fruition, who you needed to talk to, who you needed more support from, or how to even be strategic in maybe some of the conversations going forward, because you can see who your inhibitors were this way. So I thought it was very, very helpful. And I think we're really going to go ahead and use this at our next treatment team meeting or sometime soon to try to affect some more changes for us.
That's excellent. And I just have a question on the superpowers. When you allocated superpowers, how did you feel about them, from kind of like just abstractly just thinking about them to trying to strategically place superpowers?
Well, because it was depending on who our target audience was for that milestone, what superpower would be most effective in that particular area.
I see. Okay.
And that's how we did that.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Who do we have else here? Claremont?
Yes. So this was a good thing for us to think about. I think it's kind of a good reminder that we have a lot of the skills, we have a lot of the activators, just sometimes the pieces don't always line up where they need to be. So we talked about just how we can be more engaging to fathers, especially early on in their child welfare cases. But that kind of became like, okay, if we can engage them then we can engage them then. And how do we keep them engaged throughout all of their time with us? So we just talked about just kind of strategically placing things and what that could look like and how we could use just the great amount of activators that we have available to us.
Excellent. Excellent. So I'm really glad that this worked out. I think you guys, the key is you did a great job early in the process with your touch point guides and your milestones, your problem statement, and end deliverable. That was the key to you all being able to be where you are now and having something that's usable and that you can share in a manner that other people can get it, right? It's not a conversation. It's not a piece of paper with a bunch of blocks on it, org chart type stuff. It's something that people can really kind of get into. So I'm glad. All right, let's move ourselves forward. Did everybody get a chance to take a little break? No? See? You guys want to take a little break? Do you want to take it on
Make
home?
it to noon, or do you need a break?
Break, please.
One little voice in the wilderness.
I
All
was
right,
gonna
let's
say
take
break,
10. Let's take
but
10.
it's not much of a break with 2 kids, but a little break.
All right, let's take 10 minutes, please. We'll come back at 12 after. A lot of decisions. And so we want to pay attention to the environment that they're being asked to make the decisions in, the time frame. We want to think about their cognitive resources at the time of making the decision. So thinking about what time of day, if we're understanding our fathers and families better, we're thinking about, we know what their day has been in, what's been in their day before they got to me. So where they have the cognitive ability to do all the things that we need them to do in this very moment. So it's just ways to think about things that you can do, small things you can do that don't require money or don't require high level approval, that you can help people make the decisions that are going to be in their best interest, instead of just sitting back and saying, okay, whether they make it or not, and then we just react to whether they made it or not, what can we do in our environment to help them make decisions in their best interests? Okay. All right. So we're going to move on to cooperation and collaboration. Drug treatment court teams have many components and many partners, and I thought it was worth taking a look at the difference between cooperation and collaboration, and then we'll share with you an instrument that we developed to help you think about and have conversations about that with your partners.
The difference between cooperation and collaboration. Cooperation begins with mutual respect, while collaboration begins with mutual trust. Cooperation requires transparency, but collaboration requires vulnerability. Cooperation includes shared goals, but collaboration includes shared values. Cooperation is independent, but collaboration is interdependent. Cooperation is often short-term, while collaboration is often long-term. Cooperation involves the sharing of ideas as a group. However, collaboration involves generating entirely new ideas together. Both cooperation and collaboration are vital for creative work. Collaboration without cooperation can lead to groupthink, but cooperation without collaboration can lead to disunity. However, collaboration plus cooperation means deeper work, more innovation, and better quality.
Okay.
The difference between
So we've put together this tool for you to take back to your community and to your teams. It's just a really simple way, a quick and easy way to check in on the different components of the Family Drug Treatment Court team or the community partners that play roles, important roles in your service to fathers and families. So you can look at whether that particular component or partner, you would consider that as cooperation, the relationship being as cooperation or collaboration, and is it okay? Is the way it is, or does it need some improvement? And so the idea here is that in a very quick way, you can do a quick assessment that may drive some conversations with some of your partners and collaborators. Because keep in mind, when you take the journey maps back, when you take your ideas and your learnings and your strategies from this training, it may create situations in your teams or with your partners where you have to educate them or help bring them up to the vision that you see or the inspiration that you have on including fathers and engaging fathers. So just take a look at your partnerships and relationships and see if they are fall under cooperation, collaboration, both, or even if they do, are we good with it, or do we need to do something to strengthen ourselves? Okay. So now we're going to take a look at the court's role in engaging fathers. One thing that judges can do is help remove barriers and promote father involvement in legal proceedings impacting children. So that's a judge who now has a fatherhood lens. Assess how father-friendly their administrative and case-specific activities are in order to better welcome the dads. The judge can set expectations for father involvement with the child welfare agency and directly with fathers. Set the expectation that everyone in the courtroom avoids using language that is divisive or that stereotypes men and fathers. You know, sometimes even the little seemingly innocent joke about men, manhood, or fathers can be very off-putting and deflating to a father who's already in a tough situation. So we definitely want to look to avoid that. And then the judge should consider a non-resident father as an immediate placement option, absent proof of unfitness. And I know there's different theories and thoughts and attitudes from judges about this, but it's just a good practice. If that father's not been proven unfit, that he should at least be considered as an immediate placement option. The role of child advocate and fathers. The advocates can help ensure that children are aided through the court process in securing the legal rights to have their fathers involved in their lives. They can assist the child's caseworker in identifying, locating non-resident fathers. They can clearly explain their role and responsibilities to non-resident fathers and their families to avoid role confusion. Our families are, in our care, meet and come into contact with a lot of people playing a lot of different roles. And this is one thing child advocate can do. Because I've been in court with fathers and have been involved in their family situation. And the advocate role sometimes is very confusing to dads. I've got the attorney, I've got the child welfare, I've got the judge. And so, who is this person? So it would be helpful if advocates could really explain their role. They can assist caseworkers with helping to educate mothers about the importance of father involvement, a very important role they can play. Advocates can discuss with the father what he and his family want for his child's future and how he fits into that picture. If you remember, that goes back into some of our best practice skills for relating to and communicating with men. The advocate can discuss with the child, and age appropriately, how she or he feels about living with or having regular contact with his or her father. And finally, the advocate can meet the father in his home to get a sense for where the child may live while respecting the father's cultural background and economic status, okay? So just trying to touch on father engagement from as many angles of the treatment team as possible. So the judges, the court administrators, the child advocates, they have some things that they can do to improve father engagement and inclusion. Oh, sorry. Advocate can ask the father about his child care options, plans for his child's education, health care, and health coverage as well. All right, so going down the home stretch, looking at promoting father involvement in child welfare. First, keeping in mind that fatherhood is fragile. Non-resident fathers in child welfare are at very high risk for non-involvement with their children. Father involvement is closely related to his relationship with the mother. It's noted in the literature that it's the single greatest determinant of successful father involvement, the relationship with the mother. So that needs some attention. The grandparents and extended family members can influence father involvement. The mother's parents' acceptance or rejection of the father can be critical to sustaining, rebuilding, or eliminating a father's role. And then the father's parents can be a resource for him as it relates to his father identity, understanding that, evolving that, and then understanding and supporting him in the role that he wants to play or needs to play. Father involvement involves understanding and using life transitions, particularly transitions from married to residential father, to divorce, to non-residential father. We looked at, on the first day of training, the deep transitions men make into fatherhood and some of the challenges there. It is the transitions that really trip men up in these situations, moving from one role or one status to the next. It's quite a lot. And so we can look out for ways to help him, even if it's just listening to him talk about the transitions. Other involvement involves integrating an employment dimension into child welfare. So understanding the difficulties of the work-family life balance, especially with fathers and families in economically distressed communities. And that was another feature of the gender role strain, was that idea of work and life. Fathers have a difficult time, especially new fathers, have a difficult time really reconciling the desire to provide, protect, to work, and then the desire and the need to emotionally connect with and strengthen emotional connections with their children and family. Issue of father involvement is, well, let me do this first. Father involvement requires assistance in building relationships with community systems. So fathers involved with child welfare and the treatment teams have burdens of meeting terms and complying with many different systems, and adding these tasks to a father's everyday life can be very stressful, and we just want to be aware of that. Father involvement depends on working with fathers. Peer support can be the glue that keeps a father engaged with the process. So father-to-father groups can be offered, including virtually. And I thought about this. I was inspired in reading some of the literature about how might it work where fathers who have been involved with dependency court, with child welfare, who successfully and or otherwise, who can come together with fathers who are not involved and have conversations about that. It would be a way of community outreach. It would be a way of educating the community. It would be giving fathers a voice peer to peer. So that's just one idea that came up when I was researching. So the issue of father involvement is a deeply systemic one that touches on multiple points of the child welfare and family drug treatment court teams. Systemic. We took a good look at that on day 2 from the CSFR through different strategies for getting the whole of the organization, from assessment all the way down to administration and executive leadership. So it's a systemic issue, and it's going to take systemic responses in order to really, really move the needle on engaging, including fathers, being better at that in our family drug treatment court teams. So starting with you, starting with where you are is perfect. And it's also worth remembering that change takes time. I know I think it was the Kaiser Family Foundation did a report that says substantive change in systems takes 9 to 15 years. That was what their research showed. So not that we're looking to take 9 to 15 years to do better at what we're trying to do, but it just illustrates that change takes time. And so doing what you can with what you have, where you are now, is the most important thing you can do. And you have no idea who you're going to impact, who's in a position, a decision maker or position of influence, with your own commitment and your passion and your focus on fathers. You really don't know who you might inspire, and it might be a person who's able to actually make a difference or make a change in the system. Okay. Now we want to talk about resources here in Ohio. Yesterday, we looked at a couple from the National Fatherhood Initiative and one from the North Carolina Department of Human Services. So here are some of the resources in Ohio, and then Steve and Harold will be joining this part of the conversation to share other resources. So you have the Ohio Practitioners Network for Fathers and Families. The web address is there. So that is, we are 18 years old now, volunteer fatherhood practitioner group that came together to support practitioners, to provide training and other supports, and also to advocate for fathers in state government, within state agencies. And we've been doing this work for a while. We have a lot of assets and resources on our board, just a huge amount, hundreds of years of fatherhood practitioners. So we are an ongoing resource for your work in your communities. The Ohio Commission on Fatherhood, again, we talked about that in the first day. one of only 4 states in the country that has a commission on fatherhood. Ours exists by statute, and it's led by an incredible leader in Kimberly Dent. So it has grown, it is strong, it has resources for you as well. I encourage everyone to sign up for on the listserv so you can get the email updates from the commission. You can keep up with the happenings there. There's also a Engaging Fathers in Child Welfare Toolkit that was put out by the Commission on Fatherhood, developed by the Department of Health and Human Services here in Ohio. So that's something that is available to you in your journey on including engaging fathers in your drug dependency treatment courts. Okay, so Steve, you want to talk about some other resources in Ohio?
Actually, I just want to dig into these ones that you shared for a sec,
Okay.
Calvin. So I'm going to share the Ohio Commission on Fatherhood website with everybody. Can you all see it?
Do you need me to stop sharing?
Can you see mine now? Right. Yeah. Why don't
I
you stop
cannot.
sharing? Okay. I want you stop sharing and we'll see if it works.
Well, I stopped sharing.
Can folks see this website now?
I can, yeah.
Okay. So I just want to, there's a couple of things on here that might be helpful to you in your counties. The Commission on Fatherhood, they fund programs across the state, and let's see if that page comes up. There's about 12 programs across the state. It's a limited budget, but there are some, that isn't coming up for me. But they do have some programs that you can find on their website, and if you're looking for some resources in another county, that might help you. The other thing that they have that they fund every year, a $10,000 grant to counties that want to pull together people from different systems to work on mobilizing the county for fatherhood, and we partner with them in this process. So we provide the technical assistance. So I think of someone like Kayla, who's really struggling out there in Ashtabula. She's probably one of the sole, fatherhood champions now. This is something that is possible to look to get to some support. It requires a member from the Child Support Agency, a judge, Job and Family Services, and you get some training and technical assistance, and then $10,000 just to try to seed something in your county. Claremont, I could imagine you guys really taken off with this now because you have so many champions in the court, and you might be able to reach out and pull together the next step. Now, Coshocton, you've heard Leandra and Kelsey talk about the value of William Johnson. So Coshocton was one of the first counties to do this about 9 years ago. And that Coshocton County Fatherhood Initiative has continued since then. So if you want to try to engage the county as a whole beyond your court, this would be a good way to do that. And then I just wanted to show you too, I'm going to stop sharing this and switch to our website. Because I know some of you might be, maybe I lost our website. I'll get it back. Some of you might be looking for fatherhood resources in your county that you're not aware of. We have some tools that can help you do that. So this is our website. And we've got about 5-6 years ago, we started sending out a periodic survey of fatherhood programs across the state. We have 175 or so in here. So if you're looking for fatherhood champions in your county, this is a place to do that. Again, I'll pick on Kayla. There are a few people that have reached out and completed this survey, which basically means that, you know, when Ashtabula County helped me grow, this Sherry Jones is a fatherhood champion. There's somebody at that agency that cares about fatherhood and might be a resource for you. This guy, Isaac Chappelle, is a guy, I'm not even sure if he's still around, but he's somebody that was trying at one point to start a grassroots fatherhood program. And then you go to a county like Claremont, who I don't believe has actually any funded programs, but there's a lot of programs around Claremont that that you guys could reach out to look for support. We also have some training and technical assistance stuff on here and some policy and practice stuff, but I really wanted you to know about these resources if you're looking for partners in the community. And I'd encourage you all to fill out the survey and become a champion yourself. It's a really quick little survey, but it'll let other people in the county know, okay, I have a passion for fatherhood and engaging fathers in our work, and help build that community that way. Any questions about either of those resources? I guess I'll show you one more thing. There are a handful of regional and county fatherhood networks across the state. I run one up in Cuyahoga County. Calvin runs one in Hamilton County. There's one in Stark County and Summit County are both really strong. So if you're looking with county leadership at this idea of pulling folks that are interested in engaging fatherhood to the same table, and typically we bring in father-specific partners, but we also really encourage all family service agencies to think about engaging fathers like you guys are. And so it's a way to develop that kind of common language that you'd like to get to. So that's all I had there, Calvin. You're still muted, buddy.
You want to show the toolkit?
There you go. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The toolkit was on this website. See if I can find it before I. So this is on the Ohio Commission on Fatherhood website. This was a project at the state level a few years ago. A couple of different agencies participated in it. Best Guide for Engaging Fathers and for Children's Services staff. There's some nice material in here. Definitely when you guys get to the point of trying to engage the rest of your team, this might be something to show as well, and to also show them Commission on Fatherhood and OPNFF. So you let them know that you're working as in a state that already has really engaged these issues. That can be helpful.
Yeah.
Actually, the reason that one of the reasons we launched Ohio OPNFF in 2003 was because the Commission on Fatherhood had lost funding in some partisan budget battles. And so it was our theory that if we engaged fatherhood practitioners across the state and became a voice for fatherhood, that we could convince people to reinvigorate the commission. And about 3 years later, that happened. We got enough folks engaged, and we got some attention in the legislature. So I think about that in communities like you're in, that same process, reaching out, finding champions of fatherhood in different agencies, bringing them together around a table occasionally, or just starting an email connection. You can shift policy in your county.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I can't stress enough, it does take individuals to just take on this stance of really focusing on and caring about fathers, and it does infect. Right. So long as you're genuine, you're sincere, and you're committed to this, you will infect other people and affect other people. Steve talked about the commission going dormant for a while. The Practitioners Network played a role in that commission coming back online. It was a similar in Hamilton County, where the Fatherhood Collaborative in Hamilton County operated for 4 years and then went dormant for a few years. But because the track had been set, so to speak, with regards to people's understanding their hearts and passion for dads, there were key people in this community who would not let that go. And a couple years later, the Fatherhood Collaborative of Hamilton County came back online stronger than ever, right? So sometimes in fatherhood work, things wax and wane, but stay committed and stay true to what you're trying to accomplish, because it all adds up to improve outcomes for children and families. We just got to get this fatherhood quotient right. And you guys are doing a great job already from a lot of the things we've heard. And we're looking forward to seeing you doing more with, from this training and with our ongoing support, and then other supports that we can bring to you through our contacts and connections. So I just want to open it up for the last few minutes for any comments, thoughts, suggestions, ideas as we close out our training.
I apologize if I had to take a call and I missed a little portion of it, but will you all be providing your contact information so that we can maintain connections or even
Absolutely.
with one another?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. I'll send that out to everybody, contact for all of us with those website connections too. Yep.
Correct.
Yep. And as we've mentioned a couple of times, our contract with the Supreme Court goes through to the end of September and LaTanya has the idea that we would be available to counties to help you, provide you technical assistance as you roll this kind of stuff out. So we're excited about that if it can be helpful.
Yep. Thank you, Leandra. Anybody else? Any closing thoughts? Okay. Well, that means it's time for Harold Howard.
I just want to give you kudos. I mean, great work. You were well prepared. The content was really good. So it's important that, I say that while everybody's still on the call. So you always represent the Ohio Practitioners Network for Fathers and Families very well. So we appreciate that. And for everyone else, we look forward to continuing to work with you all. As Calvin and Steve said, we have part of the contract is ongoing technical assistance. So, please feel free to use us. We're very passionate, as you can see, about this work, and any way that we can help continue to advance fatherhood, because we know that fathers' outcomes are tied to children's outcomes, and so and then family outcomes. And so the more we can connect all those components, the better off we are as a state. So congratulations. Thank you all for bearing with us. I know we're still kind of all new in this new norm of always doing Zoom and Skype and what am I missing, Teams. So, I thought it went very well. So just thank you all for your patience, and that's all I have, Calvin.
Okay, well, good enough. So we'll be seeing you down the fatherhood road.
Yep. Yeah, and we encourage you to join OPNFF as well. It's on our website, and so you can stay on in our world network. I am going to send out the evaluation one more time because LaTanya asked me to do that every day. I know most of you have done it, but if you have something else any other comments you want to make, that'd be great, and we'll be sharing those with her.
All right, everybody, take care. We'll see you soon.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.